Good morning, everyone. We're really glad you could join us today for a very, very important segment, an episode where we're really talking about some ways of handling a lot of the pressure that people are feeling today, the trauma, a lot of tragedy that people are having to decide how to deal with, find ways of handling life better and coming out on top. So we're going to be talking about the topic of resiliency today, and how to do well through trauma and tragedy. Ann's with us today too. This is Jim, but hey, good to see you, Ann.
Hey Jim, that's Dr. Slaughter. I'd like to start by asking you some questions. In light of everything that's happened, we're all going through a hard time in lots of ways. So tragedy, hard times, needing resilience happens to everyone. So if you've ever lost a loved one, gone through a divorce, had your heart broken, been bullied, had a hard marriage, had an abortion, or if you've suffered infertility, you know someone or you have suffered through mental illness, dementia, or suicide, adversity does not disintegrate. It doesn't, everybody goes through adversity. And if I'd had you stand up as I went through that list, anyone who'd suffered through these things, almost everyone would have stood up. And I think it's important to realize, because in our society of putting pretty pictures on Instagram and trying to post good things and hopeful things, it can look like adversity doesn't hit everyone. It can look like adversity only hits a few, but that's not true. And if we were in a group of 1,000 people and I had gone through that list, 999 probably would have stood up. If it hadn't happened to someone in that audience, it will eventually happen to them. So adversity doesn't discriminate. And if you are alive, you have already experienced or will experience hard times. And right now, with the world the way it is and all of the information that we get from what we might call the experts, we can be left with a feeling of being a victim, helpless, hopeless. And I think that we've been told by all the experts that we are prime candidates for illness or COVID, and if we get COVID, we probably will die. And then being socially distancing, there's family estrangement and there's divorce, and that you have a high expectation to have mental illness coming up from all the trauma, and there's not a lot of hope in that. And I know that they have good intentions, all those experts and all those flyers and all that information to help us through the suffering. But there's really no hope in that. And we don't like hearing that, because it makes people feel so helpless. And we don't want you left feeling helpless. We want you feeling empowered. We want to give you hope, and hope in the middle of adversity. And so that is what we're here for, to teach you about resilience and resiliency. And so we're going to teach you 3 things today, just 3 basic things about resilience. And resiliency is the ability to recover from or adjust easily to much misfortune or change. And we want to give you the tools. We want to teach you and show you the research that's out there and all the ways of thinking and acting that best boost your resilience to get through any hard times today or in the future. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Slaughter.
Yeah, my pleasure to get to be here, and what an important topic for us to address today. The thing is, I think most of us, in one way or another, maybe some are more realistic than others about it, but in some way we either hope for or believe we're entitled to a perfect life. And so sometimes we're shocked when something really tragic or traumatic hits us. And I don't want to get too far ahead of us in what we want to do today, But I was just going to echo what you were saying, that hard times, tough times in life, adversity is common to every human being on the earth. It is part of the human condition. And some of us, maybe many of us, don't handle it very well. We don't know what to do when it hits. We lose our identity. We just walk around in a fog. And so we're here today to try and give you some pattern or some ways of doing better when hardship hits us.
Well, we don't want you to feel powerless. We don't want you to feel like you're powerless to any influence over the situation whatsoever. And you can feel that way by listening to all them, that you have no choice, this is going to happen. But what we need most is hope, and we want to teach you how to be an active participant in changing the grief or the pain, anything that you're going through. You can rise up from adversity, and these are strategies. So we're going to teach them three strategies today.
Right, three main strategies, and this is not a secret formula. You know, these are things that are very, when you're thinking about them, are easy to accomplish. But these are things that everyone can use to rise above adversity in any given situation. And you mentioned many at the beginning of the program, Ann, that people experience all the time.
Yeah.
And so these are the kinds of things that and there are other things, all kinds of issues that come up that we're not prepared for. And so anyway, these are strategies, these are ways of providing hope and help for people in hard times.
So number one.
Oh, we're starting with number one.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
All right, number one is to know that hard times are a part of life. Now that may seem kind of obvious, but sometimes we are just absolutely shocked that we are experiencing something hard, something difficult. We get blindsided by it. Now that's not to say that we can never be surprised, but that's important. Know that hard times are a part of life. Things that threaten us, things that hurt us, trauma, tragedy, those things are things that we're going to run into from time to time for the rest of our lives.
Well, and I think it's just important to know that life throws things at you, and things are going to happen no matter what. And that's part of what I was saying about Instagram or Facebook or any of that. It's hard to see that everyone suffers through adversity. It comes no matter what. So resilient people know it's going to come. By no fault of their own per se, it's just going to come, and that's okay. It's going to come, and not to focus on what we can't change, but to focus on what we can change.
Right, absolutely. I was reminded of what Peter says in 1 Peter 4. He tells his readers, don't be surprised at the fiery trial that's come upon you, as if it's something strange, a strange experience happening. And by that, he's simply saying that all people endure hardship. The trick is, how do I get through it well? How do I keep from being a victim or feeling victimized? And how can I rise above it?
And I think the Army calls it, when they teach them in the Army, to hunt for the good.
Right, right.
And why do they do that?
Well, because it's important for us to look beyond the tragedy or the trauma, whatever it may be, the hardship, not focus on that. It's easier for people to focus on what's negative. One person said, negative memories and negative emotions stick to us like Velcro, where positive emotions, good feelings tend to slide off of us like Teflon. And so they're harder to latch onto and grasp. And so this was a military experiment or training session where the military guys who are doing this, they came up with the idea of hunting for the good. That means I look beyond the bad things. I don't ignore them, but I look beyond them and I focus on what's good in this situation or what comes out of it that's good.
And clinical psychologists and people that study the brain, they have talked about the importance of seeing good and the importance of seeing the bad, and why negative things attach to us like Velcro, because it's part of the survival mechanism. And they said if you come, if you're a woman and you come out, let's say you're a cave woman and you come out of the cave, there's this beautiful scenery on the left, but there's a tiger on the right. And it's very important to notice the tiger on the right because of our survival. And they've taken that and said the problem today is there's no tigers really. And so there's all these things coming at us everywhere that's negative, right? And so how to really hunt for the good, because the good is what helps us survive as far as being able mentally and emotionally to be resilient through the bad, through the tough times. And even to take care of the tiger, you got to see the good on why the tiger's there.
Right. No, absolutely. And so we don't ignore danger, of course. We don't ignore threats. But we don't want to focus on that. And our tendency may be to almost revel in what's wrong or what's bad, or feel woe is me, be a victim, and that kind of thing. And so we're thinking, what we know now is that to rise above and go beyond our adversity and be successful through it, we're going to have to think in the positive realm. And so we hunt for the good. We hunt for the good things that may come out of a bad situation. And so that's part of what that is about.
Well, I notice you have written down choose into the good.
Yes, and we have learned a lot from Lucy Hone. She's an expert in resilience thinking, and that was her phrase, choose into the good. And what that means is I move towards the good. I think about the good. I ask myself, where's the good that comes out of this? And there's always something, that I can focus on. And her point at this time was to choose carefully what you focus on, where you focus your attention. Because our natural tendency, our instincts may be to focus on what's bad. Oh no, this has happened. I'm dead meat. I can't handle this, and just keep going with that. And she challenges us to think past that and to focus on the good, to choose into the good. And that's why, we also say hunt for the good stuff. That's what we're talking about.
That's when people talk about gratitude, looking for the good, writing things down. Then some people have a gratitude journal. And so journaling can be helpful to see the good. The more that you do that, trying to look for the good in your day, and it's a little bit of work in the beginning, and then eventually it becomes natural to see the good in each day. But it truly helps you. And they did research on people to see, and they had a certain group of people. I don't know how many people it was. Do you know about this research where they had people just choose 3 good things to focus on? Or there are three good things that happen to them each day.
Right.
That's what it was.
And I don't know the research population that they were dealing with, but it was a large enough group to where the results were significant. And so, they had them choose 3 good things that happened to them every day, and it was amazing how statistically it lifted their mood. It raised the positive nature of their emotion, and it really enabled them to feel better, be better, and continue to get better. And so that's one of the things that you and I call a win mentality, which means that every day I get up looking for good things to happen. Every day I get up looking for those wins to happen. And so the statistics show through the research that we have been reading about that every time we do that, 3 good things that happen each day is enough to really help us through an adverse situation.
And it made a very big difference in the group they were studying. And it was a big group of people that the ones that they had look at the good every day. Just find 3 good things in the day, and that's it. That it was a dramatic change in their attitude, in their physical health as well, and their ability to cope. So that's the first thing. Now these 3 things we're going to teach you are very simple, and anyone can do them, and they're things that you can grab immediately when you need them. So when we come back from hearing from our wonderful sponsors, we're going to go through 2 and 3. So stay right here, and we will help you get better in the middle of adversity. Yeah, because we need to both be seen there, and so it's better that we don't have the banner today.
Yeah, probably is.
So, all right, we can't take as long. We can. We just the intro was long, so I couldn't get the YouTube going.
Okay.
I don't know why. It wouldn't let me, which I think is odd. And the ringer needs to not go off. This is a terrible video. I'm just gonna have to find a different way because YouTube's not letting you. I mean, Facebook's not letting you turn the camera sideways anymore for live video. So we're not going to be able to use the banner when we're doing this. We're just gonna have to find probably somewhere else to stream it to.
Okay.
So if you're there and you're watching, just know that we're gonna try MeWe, we're gonna try Rumble, places that we can stream to that work better, because we've had the hardest time. Facebook changed the way they do everything when you do a live video, so it's just been very difficult. So we are gonna figure that out with our great tech crew.
Yeah.
And figure out how to do it better. So, okay, yes.
So I was going to ask you if you want to, we wanted to mention Joni Eareckson Tada and, the things that she has taught us all about getting through adversity. And so I didn't, if you want to,
But do you want to do
now,
2 and, no, let's do 2 and 3. Well, do you want to do that now?
I'm just asking you
if
you want, we still have some things about number 2, if you want to work on it.
Joni, so let's go to 2. Did you make it part of 2? Or did you make
I
it
just
part of 1?
wrote it down because that's when I thought about it, and that's when we were looking at it. It doesn't have to be that.
No, I'm just asking you where it fits. Where do you think it fits?
Well, I wrote it down under gratitudes because she was thankful. She was talking about thankfulness and how that was the thing that made the difference for her.
It's interesting that I can't plug in. Do you still see yourself? So I can't plug in sound right there. So right now they'll be hearing what we're hearing, or nothing. What are we hearing right now? Are you hearing anything? No. Okay. So it'll just be quiet. I don't know if that's good or not. How much time is left from the commercial?
50 seconds.
Okay, that's good. All right. And then it'll come back and they'll hear us. Let's be in the.
Here's what the speaker talked about. Think of 3 good things that happen to you each day. This will produce gratitude. And that's a healing thing.
Okay, so where do you want to start now? What do you think?
Well, we've talked about wins. You could talk. You mentioned journaling, but we could talk about free reign writing.
Okay, we're coming back. Hold on. Welcome back. We are talking about resilience and being a resilient person. Resilient people are good at not focusing their attention on the bad, but focusing on the good. So you had something you wanted to say about that, Jim?
Well, yeah. What I was thinking, and we you and I talked about this for a while, but the thing that was on my mind is that in thinking about those good things, those 3 good things that happen to us every day, when we do that, that produces gratitude, a sense of gratitude in us, or thanksgiving, thankfulness in us. When we see these 3 good things that happen to us every day, and certainly there are many, many more than that, but if we just do 3, it's amazing how we are changed by that for good. And so I was thinking the gratitude that comes from that is very important in the healing process and having us do well. And again, it made us think about Joni Eareckson Tada. Many of you know her or know of her and have heard her story, but she had a very, very painful trial early in her childhood. She was swimming in a lake with friends. She dived off of a platform, didn't gauge how deep the water was. She hit her head, broke her neck, and became a quadriplegic, and she could not move. And he pulled her out of the water, took her to the hospital, and she just had a very, very difficult time recovering from that. She was lucky to be alive, but She couldn't move her arms or her legs and was in a wheelchair the rest of her life. But she rose above that. And the way that she says mainly that she turned over a leaf from feeling so sorry for herself. And she said, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. I cannot do this. God, why don't you do something about this? Why did you let this happen? And she says the thing that turned it around for her was she thought of a New Testament passage, 1 Thessalonians 5:18, in all things give thanks. And, she thought about that, talked to her best friend about it, and she said, I can't give thanks for this accident. And her friend said, well, then give thanks for something that is happening that you can give thanks for. And so she began then to pick out those things every day that she could be thankful for. And one, of course, was simply the fact that her bed was by the window and she could see out of the window. And it brightened her day. It brightened her prospects for the day.
One of them was that her food was warm. that they delivered the food tray on their side of the hospital first.
Right.
So she said, that makes my food warm. Like if I wasn't first, then my food would be colder. So she gave thanks for that.
Right, and so there are small things that when you hunt for the good, when you move into the good, then you're going to discover things to be thankful for along the way. Is the situation good? No, it's very, very hard. It causes despair. And so, that's not what we're thinking about being thankful for. We're thinking about other things that we can be thankful for. And, part of what Johnny was saying and being thankful for was the fact that God loves her, that God has a plan for her life, even though she can't move, and that God is still at work. And so she was thankful for that.
And she's gone on to paint incredible paintings with her toes. And
her mouth. She holds that brush.
Books and speaking all over the world for the last 40 years. It's been amazing. And the verse doesn't say give thanks for, it says give thanks in.
Yeah, all things.
Yeah.
Right.
And so in the middle of it, giving thanks. So what she said was, she didn't like what her friend said because she just said, I can't give thanks for being a paraplegic. That's ridiculous. How silly is that?
Right.
But she did find herself, okay, I'll try. So she came up with 3 things that day. And it's weird. She said she felt better. And then the next day, it was easier. And then she felt better, more better, getting better. And then the next day she did it. And she said it was an amazing thing that how it, more than anything, that changed her life.
Well, and that was a turning point for her because before she had just very deeply and seriously despaired. And at that point, when that came into her head, that in all things give thanks, and that her friend actually helped her do that, that's when her life turned around and she began to change.
And she will say it changed dramatically. And people don't realize the power of that. Just thinking about it, even if you don't, consciously give thanks for it, just thinking about the good, coming up with 3 things in that day that you just think about, okay, that was good, that happened, yeah, that was good, and when you don't realize it's being thankful for it, but just recognize it, because in the research with the Army, it was just recognizing the good.
Right.
3 things that they recognize daily. And Joni, you can see Joni Erickson Tata on YouTube, right? She actually has COVID, and she's come through that, and she describes what COVID has been like for her. And when she was in the middle of, she just thought it was like a death sentence, right? And so she's on the other side, getting better, talking about, thanking the Lord, having gratitude in the middle of it, finding things to be thankful for, that she could breathe. And things like that really changed her. So it's a great thing if you can go see that. We just, so when we come back, we are going to do number 2 and number 3, the most important things about resilient people. I need you to see if you can see yourself, because I had adjusted it for you. But then you moved it again, it was hiding your face.
No, I can't. See?
Maybe you moved your seat. I don't know. Okay, good. You want people to be able to see you, and not just your eyes and your forehead. That's why I was trying to turn it. See how I did it so you can see more of yourself? Do you mind if I put this? Well, no, you can. You're above it. You're taller than me. So. Hi, guys. People are watching. Hi, Ron. Thanks for being on. Hey, Larry. Thank you.
Hey, you
hey
guys.
Linda.
Good to see ya.
Good to have you here. Thank you so much. Let's see. Hi. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much too. I'm glad we're doing this. It's a great topic. Can you read that? You got better eyes than me.
Well, I can if I take my reading glasses
off.
off, probably.
Am I crooked? What are they trying to tell me?
We're good, we're good. Let me just say, though, some of the names that are coming in saying that we're on board with you today listening. Some of you guys are some of the most resilient people I know, and some of you have been through some very, very difficult situations and a lot of adversity. And so just want to say we appreciate you, and I think you'll understand and agree with a lot of what we're talking about today, because some of you have lived through this.
They have. Hi, Alicia. And Ron said he'll just call you Wilson.
Okay.
You can't see him. That is from, what's that movie, that TV show? With, come on, Tool Time or whatever that is.
Oh, I thought he was talking about
with Wilson behind the fence.
The soccer ball in the movie.
No, he means the neighbor that you can't see except his eyes.
I get
Wilson.
it. Yeah, Wilson.
With Tim Allen.
I'll take that as a good thing. I think Wilson was a good guy and probably should have been in the counseling business. Oh, he was actually over the fence, right? Counselor, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea.
I know everybody can't see that strolling on the screen like we can, but I love that, to be able to see that, and I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
So if you missed it, the number one resilience is, that's why we went back over to having 3 things to be grateful for. And resilient people know that suffering is part of everyday human life. And so they, based on that, they know to look for the good. And so if you didn't get that, you can go back. And so when we go on, we're going to talk about the next 2, not to focus on what we can't change, but to focus on what we can change. That sounds like the prayer. What prayer is that? The serenity prayer. God grant me the strength to focus on what I can change, not what I can't. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know the serenity prayer?
I've heard it many times, but I've never memorized it or anything. So
yeah.
There's something else that Johnny said too about the change that took place in her, and that is that she, when she finally gave over to the Lord, gave it to the Lord, said, "Whatever you want to do, you can heal me, you can take me home, you can do whatever." That the peace that followed that was immense, and it really just kind of flooded her system, and she was able really to just be at peace, be at rest after that.
Yes, they can hear us. I was making sure they could hear us.
Okay,
yes,
good.
That's awesome. Okay, so let me get back in the camera. Here we go. We're trying to cope with the fact that Facebook won't let you turn the camera sideways anymore, so it gives a lot smaller space. Larry Stiff, you definitely know about resilience. That's for sure. That's what he says. Is there a way for you to turn the volume output up a little? Dang. Can they not hear it? Ask them if they can hear it well or not bad, not well.
We're needing to ask you, can you hear us well or not?
Welcome back. We are trying to help you be resilient in the hard times, in adversity, and through everything that's going on. A lot of people are having a hard time. We want you to choose success, to be a victor, to be able to get through adversity, and we're teaching you 3 strategies today. So strategy number 1 was learning to be grateful, choosing 3 things to just notice every day. Strategy number 2, resilient people are good at focusing on their attention on what we can't change. No, what we can change. Which one? What we can change. And I think that what we hear all the time on the radio and on TV is all the things that we can't do about it. It's too bad. Like, it's just going to happen. And COVID's just going to happen. Like early on, it was we were all going to get it. And so instead of what we can do about it. how we can build our immunity, how we can take action. We want you active participants in this day. We want you to be able to know what to do and give strategies that actually work so that you know how to, overcome and have a successful life no matter what is going on in the world.
Right, and strategy number one was simply to know that hard times are a part of life. And so we don't have to be shocked or surprised or, really flattened when something very difficult comes. What is important is what to do about that, how to know what to do when that happens. And number two then is to choose carefully what you focus your attention on. So that's what we've been talking about at this point. Not focusing on negative memories and negative emotions and feelings and how down I am and how there's no chance for me to succeed now and I'm out of it. But really in the positive realm, really become a chronically thankful person, and how gratitude can really change our mood and can do it every day. And so those are some of the things that we're talking about in step number two.
If you look at what, like, we've all trained, Dr. Slaughter, Jim and I have trained in knowing how to overcome adversity, knowing how to help people get through crisis, stress management, anger management. That's what Dr. Slaughter specializes in. And you come to grips with what your purpose is in life, that, hey, I look at everything that's happening in the world, this is what I was made for, this is what I know, this is what I'm good at. And our practice is overloaded with people because of that. I mean, we are overloaded with people. But what we found out was, to my surprise, that though that is part of our purpose. We had great tragedy in the last year happen to our family. We've had 3 people die. Anyway, my brother, father-in-law, I won't go through it all, but it's just been it's the kind of tragedy that in the midst of everything we didn't expect. So being able to survive through that and do well in that, instead of listening to all the things people say about grief. And honestly, the bargaining, the levels of grief that they talk about, the stages of grief and the things that they tell us, it is not enough. It has not been enough for everything. It hasn't. And so we have chosen to use other tools. I mean, those are fine, but those aren't enough for everything that's happened in the world. You need a lot more tools than that. And so knowing how to be resilient and be able to choose things that can make you a warrior, to be able to survive through all this. And that's what we have done, and it's been amazing, the transformation over the last year.
Right.
And in the midst of everything day to day, when you have tragedy, and Jordan Peterson talks about this, it makes your world really small. You come down to a time, it makes your time limit very small of what you can cope with. You can only cope with things moment by moment or day by day. It's not, the way things used to be before all this happened. Now it's, I can get through today, I can focus on this. And one of the things to know is what they talk about, oscillating. And I don't remember the name of that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think it could be something important for all of us to know about. And one of the researchers mentioned oscillating in the sense of moving back and forth between moving into the pain of adversity, for example, a lost child or something like that, and moving into that, which can be helpful in getting through that, versus moving away from that and just letting it go for a while. And so, it's not always just a matter of constantly facing the pain and gutting it out and moving through that. That can help, and looking at pictures and that kind of thing can help at times. But then you may need a time where you move away from that, you go to bed.
I can't do that. And that was the oscillating. If you feel you can't do it at that moment, that's okay. Hiding in bed, cocooning, just hanging out and not facing it is okay. It's just you don't stay there. And there's times you'll be able to handle it. So it's interesting, because at New Year's when they came over, it was like, yeah, hey, where's that stuff? We're going to go through it. I'm like, okay. And so, cool. And so part of it is knowing the difference, and knowing that it can be back and forth, oscillating. Now, when they talk about grief, they talk about waves, that it goes in waves. Things come and go. You know, sadness can come and go. Anger can come and go. Well, and the go part means that you kind of feel okay in the middle. And so oscillating is what happens. Sometimes you can handle it, sometimes you can't, and that's okay. And not to get upset with yourself if you can't.
Right.
Right.
And also, I was thinking too, you started mentioning some of the phases of grief, and we've sort of been taught to rely on that as a way out of it. But, most people are beginning to discover that doesn't help them very much. It's not enough. And to realize people tell you, okay, your family's going to break up, you're going to get a divorce, and you're probably going to have some form of mental illness as a result of this tragedy. People don't want to hear that.
That's not helpful.
We don't want to tell people about that. We don't even talk about the stages of grief when we work with people who are having a hard time. We go a different route, and we believe there's much more profit in the way we go.
Well, and I do sometimes. It's just to explain, not to beat up on yourself, but the waves are more important. It's actually the reality is waves. It's waves oscillating, back and forth, and not to beat up on yourself, but understanding that there are times when you can handle it, times when you can't handle it, and being okay with that. Now, if we look at number 3, this is really, to me, one of the most important things that you can do right now, and it is to say to yourself, is what I'm doing right now helping me or hurting me? Okay? And so I was looking back through pictures, and I started getting real sad and crying, and oh my gosh. And then I stopped and said, okay, hold on. Is this helping me or is this hurting me? Okay? So I thought, be kind to yourself. Put the pictures down and go to bed. Right.
And being kind to yourself is an important facet of this, because you don't want to continue harming yourself, hurting yourself, making yourself feel bad. You want to give it a break sometimes.
Catch yourself.
And, one of the things that we've talked about is keeping things that, for example, a lost loved one has left behind. And so,
habits.
What would you say about that?
Well, and I think, a lot of people either have, okay, I need to flood myself and have all this stuff around me and don't do anything, or I need to get rid of everything. People used to think you just get rid of everything. And, my kid's granddaddy passed away. When grandma died, he wanted everything out of the house that was hers. And we thought that was wild, but okay, we did it. We brought it to her house. So it helped us grieve and recover to have it there. He didn't really grieve very well and didn't handle it well, and so it wasn't a good thing. So we got to see that really it's better to be in the middle of all that, right? And to have habits or daily things around you that are part of that person or event or things, having those things there that remind you of that empower you, that cause you those good feelings and those good memories. Anything that you're holding on to that you lost right now, whatever it is, having things around you to help you at times when you can to enjoy that, look at it and you have a good feeling. So, we had a lady whose child passed away, and she celebrated her birthday still, and they'd go to the beach, which is what they always did. And when with my grandma passing, she loved bowling, and so after her funeral, we all went bowling, and then every birthday of hers, we went bowling, and every Thanksgiving, since she wasn't there, there was a point in the day that as a family, we would all go bowling in her memory, because that's what we do. She loved doing that for holidays, and so it's such a nice memory of my grandma to do that. And so holding on to things like that, a sweatshirt, like clothes or their cologne or anything like that gives you a good feeling to make it a part of your life.
Even holiday decorations, we use the kids' grandmother's holiday decorations that were left.
Yes.
And I didn't know her actually very well, but I've kind of gotten to know her through the things that have been told about her and the things that she left behind.
She was an angel.
We really enjoyed the Christmas decorations that had belonged to her and her husband.
Yes, and it's been a nice memory with Grandma and Granddad. But Grandma, she loved holidays, and so she would go any holiday. It could be Halloween. She had Halloween earrings and Halloween flags and Easter earrings and Easter flags. She had everything for any holiday. And so she made holidays fun, any kind of holiday. And so we have all those. Now there was a time the kids, they're almost 30 now, so they thought it was hokey and silly, but now they enjoy some of those things.
Right.
And so some of it, depending on their personality, they grab onto, and I grab, we're all different. But having this Christmas has been a really cool thing. Having Grandpa's things and some of his stuff and pictures has been cool. Mm-hmm. And so, but be kind to yourself. And that's where, if you have that glass of wine, think, okay, is this good for me or is this hurting me? That last glass of wine you're drinking, is listening to this sad music good for me or is it harming me? Is going to the burial site good for me or is it harming me? Watching the news, is it good for me or is it harming me? It's really one of the best things you can do is be kind to yourself. And this gives you a sense of self-control. So right in the middle of it, realizing, wait, this isn't really good for me. I was reading through a journal entry the other day and it was very painful. And afterwards, I just felt horrible. I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a tragedy. And then I thought, you know what? I don't need to be reading that. That is so not good for me. So I just stuck it in the fireplace. And I really like to keep my journals, but I thought I don't ever need to read that again. That just hurt me so bad. It wasn't good for me.
Yeah, that's a good decision to make, I think. We have to decide. And like you said, there are a number of things. One person said that she had the option of confronting the driver of the car that ran the stop sign and killed her daughter. And she said, I decided that would not be good for me. That would be harmful to me. I did not want to do that. And so she didn't. She decided not to do that. So there are certain things that, we're not saying that's the way to go for everybody, but you have to decide for yourself. But be kind to yourself. Do the right thing for you. Be honest with yourself. Will this be helpful to me or harmful to me? Whether it's, taking a walk, taking another glass of wine, getting in bed and covering my head. Is this hurtful or is it helpful?
Yeah, so that can be forgiving family. Mm-hmm. When you hold grudges, just see, is it helping you or is it harming you, right? Is it keeping you from enjoying the people you love, or is it helping you? Is it really protecting you from harm, or is it helping you hold on to bad grudges and bad memories and justifying? Oprah talked about that. She had a friend she was upset with, and the way to punish her, because she disagreed with her, she took 10 years of not spending any time with her or being around the friends that spent time with her. And so one day she saw them all together having a very good time and happy, and she realized, I am the only one that's suffering here. They are not suffering. They have not been punished. I thought I was punishing them, but she realized she was only punishing herself. So a willingness to give that up and let go of it so she could be okay again and enjoy life and enjoy her friends.
Right.
And just forgive, right? Forgiveness is such a wonderful thing. But still knowing how you're thinking and acting, is it helping or is it harming you?
And we have to develop the habit of doing these things. When we ask ourselves that question, is this helping me or harming me? We really have to get in the habit of asking ourselves that question when things aren't quite right with us or things are wrong with us or trauma or tragedy strikes. It's not natural at first to do that, but we need to make it natural if we're going to get through it and get through it well. So.
Yeah, and social media can be that way too. Is it helping you or is it harming you? Looking through everything, do you need to unfollow people who are harming you? I mean, just if it's upsetting you, you can unfollow just a post. But still, social media in general, it can be hard because it can cause more harm than good. And I'm saying that as we are posting on Facebook. So yeah, keep watching our show. But really just realizing what is good and what is harming and trying to catch yourself in the middle of that is one of the best things. And we get the most feedback from that one right there. That is the most helpful. Stay right here.
Good.
They wanted us to speak up.
Speak up?
Yes.
Okay.
So they can hear us.
All right, I can
Okay.
speak up. You're going to repeat it.
You know what he said? So Ann went and got a chocolate bar because she knew it was helping her get better.
Who said that?
Ron. How do you know that
Ron?
about me? I'm better. I'm better. I do that sometimes. I'm better than I used to be. I used to overdo that, and I realized it was harming me. And you can catch yourself in that too.
Well, we talk about making good choices all the time, you know, and so it's funny. Sometimes we just opt for something that might carry us through a moment. It may not be the best for us, but, you know, we...
So on break, I'm assuming, can you hear as well right now? Because we're on break and they cut off our microphones. Are they on? Are the microphones on? Yeah, so they used to keep them on during break. Can you not do that anymore? Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out.
It won't amplify in here. It only amplifies out there. So
They used to hear us when we were on Facebook here. They would hear us through it. That's why you're saying, because it's not streaming through here.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I gotcha. Okay. All right. All right. Larry says thank you for the prayers for his family and for you. Just you're welcome. Thanks for telling us about it so that we could pray for you. Please do that, because I pray every morning and it helps me know what your needs are. That was Larry.
Yeah, no, he can't hear you, right?
He can hear me. He just can't hear very well right
is
now.
that it?
So you got to talk louder.
You hear it through the phone, I guess.
He's got to you just need to talk louder because they don't have these on right now. So okay. So the close is coming up. I have my close. You wrote it down for me, right? The close.
Mm-hmm. It's right,
Right here. Is that all you wrote?
There should be. I think there's another one. Is that not it there? Where is it?
Can you look through those and try to find it for me?
Here, this is the beginning of it here, though, I think.
That's all you wrote?
Be an active participant in the grief process. You can rise up from adversity. There are strategies to care. I guess that was that one. Oh, no, this was it. 3 strategies. They're pretty simple.
Oh, I got you. Thank you.
It's not rocket science, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Thank you. You're right. Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Well,
Is there anything else that you have? You want to say a verse or?
No, I can't really think of anything. Except, there aren't very many life lessons that are better to learn than this one. Gotta deal with adversity. We haven't talked too much about the power of God. I guess with Johnny we did.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk more about that? You need me to remind you, or?
I might just, not long, but just a statement about it, maybe.
Mm-hmm. When she found herself at her own wit's end, or when she couldn't do anything else.
Well, right, when she finally...
Seconds, okay, hold on. We are talking about resilience, and the strategy number 3 is it helping or harming you, what you're doing at that moment, to give you some self-control, to think about, is it harming you what you're doing, or is it truly helpful what you're doing to cope? And so when you try these different things, or you just find yourself in the middle, because your brain will take you places. Your brain, if a song comes on, your brain will just lead you down this, you'll just start spiraling down, right? And being able to catch yourself so you don't spiral down. And be like, wait, and turn off the radio or change stations. Or anytime you're listening to something, if it's causing your heart to race and it's making you upset, because we have a lot of people that are very afraid right now. I think that we hear that a lot. And I tell them, if you're listening and it's starting to scare you, just turn it off, right? And that's how they keep us watching. That's one of the number one ways to keep you watching, listening to media. And I'm in the media, and I know how you keep people intrigued is to wow them or scare them, okay? And unfortunately, the negative emotions, because of how our bodies, negative emotions stick like Velcro, more than the positive ones. So our show is more positive because we want you to learn these skills. But we know if we made it scary and negative and we did news and all that kind of stuff, oh yeah, well, we'd have a lot more people listening, but we wouldn't be helping you, we'd be harming you. You have all these other places to get that. So if you catch yourself getting this deep negative emotion, whatever it is, then I want you to catch yourself and say, is this helping me or is this harming me? Is this hurting me? And stop it if it's hurting you.
Right. Yeah, I think there are times when we're watching a news program and what the news people are really wanting from us is that, oh no reaction. And it just keeps us going and fuming and burning and fearful and all of that. And so that's when you say, you know what, this is harmful, this is unhelpful, and so I'm getting out of here. And, God gives us options. There are always options in life. There are never, my way of thinking, there aren't any dead ends. There are always options. And part of what I do in hunting the good is to look for the options. God gives you options. And so we choose the good option, the right option. And I wanted to say, in light of that, God is your most powerful resource. And I don't know where you're coming from. If you're out there, I know a lot of our listeners are Christian people and biblically based people in their philosophy and theology and all that. But God is your most powerful resource. You trust Him. You ask Him things. You ask Him to speak to you in whatever way He wants. You read His Word, and in that you will be filled and you will become really fearless.
They say that the number one remedy for fear is faith. Number one remedy for fear is faith. And so if you're wondering why they want to close the churches and all that kind of stuff, okay, is they don't want you to have faith. They want you to just stay afraid. Well, and I don't know who they is, okay? Just understand the theory behind that. So faith is the most important thing, and we say God, okay? But whatever you put your faith in, just understand that faith is stronger than fear, and faith will replace it. So one of the things that we do is read through Psalm 23, Psalm 28, Psalm 34, Psalm 37, and Psalm 91 every day. So I'll say it again, 23, 28, 34, 37, and 91. Those are the Psalms that we read every day, and then we get up, we're okay, we are brave, we're not afraid, and we face life. And so for us, the Bible has been very helpful for us every day in the middle of adversity. But we want you to know that these 3 strategies are pretty simple, okay?
Yeah, they are.
Just being able to know that suffering is part of everyday human life, that resilient people know that they focus on what they can change, not what they can't change. So gratitude, looking at the good in the day, looking at 3 good things a day. And then is what I'm doing helping me or hurting me? Be kind to yourself. Remember that. This gives you a sense of self-control. These things are simple. They don't take rocket science, okay? They're not some, hard thing. They're a fixed trait, okay? They're things that you can do. They're not elusive. That these are things that people have, and it's not that some people are resilient, some people aren't. Okay, you can learn these things. They're simple, and it requires ordinary processes, just a willingness to give it a go, a willingness to just think about 3 things good in the day, a willingness just to understand that bad things do happen. They're going to come no matter what you do. You're going to get a flat tire. Things are going to happen. It's just going to happen. But also, is what I'm doing really good for me, or is this harming me? And then we want you to consider going to listen to Lucy Hone, H-O-N-E, and Joni Eareckson Tada on YouTube. They give you great skills. And keep the faith, keep the love, and just keep getting better.
Get better.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much. I hope it helped you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Linda. Just thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And be resilient. If you have any questions, just send them on over to us. You can write them in the text here. We'll keep looking at them. Thanks for the heart. And you guys just have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks for being with us.
And we are here for you. We're together. We're brothers. We're brothers. Take care. Bye-bye.